Which choice most effectively uses data from the graph to complete the text? Participative pricing, in which the purchasers choose the prices they pay for products, can enable sellers to capitalize on the heterogeneous values consumers assign to the same goods and services, but doing so requires careful messaging. Annie Peng Coy and Jennifer Wiggins recruited 171 participants, ages 18 to 60, online for an initial study, and 83 students at a state university for the second study to test the effect of 3 different messages: pay what you can, pay what you think it's worth, and pay what you want, and how much participants would pay for concert tickets. Their results illustrate both the heterogeneity of consumer valuations and how sellers can benefit by prompting consumers to consider their own valuations. So this last sentence highlights how the results emphasize the heterogeneity of consumer evaluations, or the differences among consumer evaluations, and emphasizes how sellers can benefit by prompting consumers to consider their own valuations, essentially changing the way they message it, like pay what you can, pay what you think it's worth, and pay what you want. So let's look at this graph. The graph as a whole shows the mean ticket prices chosen in 2 studies of participative pricing messaging. So these are the 2 studies. The first study, as before in the text, is from the online group of 161 participants and from ages 18 to 60. And the second group is the 83 students, ages 18 to 31 at a state university. So overall, among these 2 studies, we can see clearly that the second group definitely pays, or mean chosen price is definitely higher than the first study across every single one of these different messaging types. And especially the pay what you think it's worth has one of the biggest differences, or the biggest difference. And among the 2 studies, pay what you think it's worth is definitely the highest. So let's look at the answer choices. So option choice A says, the students tended to value the concert tickets more highly than did the more age-diverse group recruited online. But when considering what they could afford to pay, the students tended to choose a lower price than did the other group. This is incorrect because although the first part seems to be decently correct, where it says they value the concert tickets more highly, and although the value is not the best word here, price would be better here. The first part seems to be mostly correct. The second part is incorrect because the students did not choose a lower price than the other group, because it clearly says that the second group is the student group. And where it highlights here that for a second study to test the effects of 3 different messages was the 83 students at the state university. So this is the students here, and this are the 171 age-diverse population. So we can clearly see that for pay what you think it's worth, the students definitely paid higher than the age-diverse group. Therefore, A is incorrect. B. In all 3 messaging conditions, the groups of participants recruited online tended to choose lower prices than the students, but both groups tended to choose prices closest to the actual cost of the tickets when prompted to consider the ticket's value. This is incorrect because nowhere in the text or in the graph does it highlight the actual cost of the tickets. So because this isn't mentioned anywhere, B is simply incorrect. C. The students tended to value the concert tickets more highly than did the more age-diverse group recruited online. But both groups tended to choose a higher price when considering the value of the tickets than when they considering what they could afford or wanted to pay. This seems to be the correct answer because both aspects of this sentence are correct, where it highlights the heterogeneity of consumer valuations, or the differences among consumer valuations, where the students tended to value the tickets more highly than the age-diverse group. And the second part is also correct because both groups tend to choose a higher price when considering the value of what it's worth of the ticket. So this would highlight the pay what you think it's worth. And we can clearly see that of the graph, these are definitely the 2 highest graphs among the rest of the graphs. And then looking at considering what they could afford or what they wanted to pay, what they could afford is pay what you can, and these were second highest comparing these 3. And then pay what you want is definitely wanted to pay, and these are the lowest of the graphs. So this shows how there are differences among consumer valuations, this first part of the sentence, where the students tended to value the tickets more than the age-diverse group, and it highlights how sellers can benefit by prompting consumers to consider their own valuations. So highlighting that the groups tended to choose a higher price when considering the value of the tickets than when considering what they could afford or wanted to pay. So overall, C seems to be the correct answer. D. Within each group of participants, there was a wide variation in the value that individuals assigned to the concert tickets. The students tended to assign a higher value to the tickets than did the more age-diverse group recruited online. This is incorrect because when it says here higher value to the tickets, this isn't properly describing the graph, because the graph focuses on price, not really on value. So the mention or the use of the word value here is wrong. Therefore, D is incorrect. And the correct answer is C.